Dr. Dawson, have you been to the Swanton sector of the northern border?
Yes, quite often.
Where have you been?
I was a resident of Ottawa, Ontario, so I was up and down the upstate New York and New England area very frequently, especially along the lakes.
Have you spoken with Border Patrol officers in upstate New York or the North Country?
I have not spoken to Border Patrol officers recently from that area, no.
Well, I will tell you, I speak to Border Patrol officers all the time in my district. I represent 700,000 hardworking Americans that live in my district, and it is an abject disaster what is happening at our southern border and the impact it's having on our northern border. Dr. Dawson, are you aware that encounters at the northern border have surged up to 846% in the Swanton sector that you are so familiar with?
I think during my testimony earlier, I indicated that...
Are you aware of 846%?
That is not a number that I'm...
So you disagree with that number put out by the U.S. government?
I don't have the information to agree or disagree.
Okay, well, that is the number. Mr. Judd, because you are familiar with Northern Border Patrol officers, because I know you speak to them regularly, as I do in my district, I want to get your input. Do we have operational control over the northern border?
No, we don't. In fact, what happens is we conflate the issue. We conflate the ports of entry, and between the ports of entry, we have to subtract out the two. In fact, that's the reason why we have two different agencies that work. You have the port of entry, which is the Office of Field Operations, and then you have between the ports of entry, which is the Border Patrol. We have to take those two issues apart from each other and look at them individually.
And Mr. Judd, walk me through. I'm very familiar hearing from my constituents about the crisis on the southern border, how that has impacted the morale of Border Patrol officers up north who have been transferred over and over again to the southern border with no notice deployments. Number one, the morale impact, and number two, the fact that we do not have the personnel we need operationally along the northern border, specifically the Swanton sector.
A little over 25 years, I've never seen the morale lower in the Border Patrol than what it is today. Make no mistake, we will continue to put on the uniform. We will continue to go out and do the job that we're supposed to do. We just won't be happy about the job that we're doing because we know that we do not have the support of this administration to actually protect the American people. And then when you look at how we have taken away from the northern border to support the southwest border, it all starts on the southwest border. If we can control the southwest border, then we won't have to touch the northern border agents. But because we don't have the policy that's necessary to secure the southwest border, then the northern border gets robbed, and then it opens up the gaps that we're currently seeing.
We know when we had a secure border in this country, it was not that long ago, what tools or policies were taken away by the Biden administration that led to this crisis on both the southern and northern border?
It was actually the re-implementation of a tool, which was what we call catch and release. When you look at under President Trump, we got rid of catch and release. And when you get rid of catch and release, when you get rid of the promise that you're going to reward people for violating our laws, they're going to stop coming. We saw that under President Trump. Once that was re-implemented, that's why we saw the huge increase. If individuals know that they can violate our laws and be rewarded for violating our laws, of course it's going to happen.
My additional question is, you are all familiar, the Biden administration and Secretary Mayorkas have repeatedly claimed they have operational control of the southern border, something that the chief of the Border Patrol recently disputed in a hearing. Mr. Quinn, do you believe that we have operational control over the southern and northern border?
I can only speak to my border, and I don't believe we do. We have 58 miles of border in New Hampshire. I was at the Swanton sector on Friday. I know that they are working very hard to the west, so I'm concerned with our 58 miles. What are the resources that are there 24/7 in the event that somebody called and it was an issue of an illegal crossing, whether it's through 911 or however?